What's up, y'all? It's your boy Smacks, and you just tapped into the Cage No More podcast. This podcast, we talk about everything addiction, everything incarceration, but most importantly, we talk about success after addiction and incarceration. This podcast is brought to you by the Renaissance Ranch in Bluffdale, Utah, a leading men's treatment center, also a women's treatment center in the state of Utah. So if you or anybody you know is struggling with addiction and needs a little bit of help to get their journey started, make sure you tap into www.renaissanceranch.net. And today I got my buddy Branden Campbell. I had to bring him back. Branden Campbell with the Neon Trees. I had to get him back for a part 2 to finish his story because his story is so infectious. So we had to make sure we get it. Branden, so like we left off where you were finally getting your footing a little bit as far as your journey of sobriety, right? So
Right.
let's kind of just take off where we left off.
Yeah. Well, first it's looking at, recognizing that I had an issue, right? And
Yeah.
I knew that for a long time. I mean, definitely because there were failed attempts at sobriety, which is, well, there's a difference, I should say. There were failed attempts at just not using.
Okay.
Because before I could even do that, I didn't even really understand why I was using, they say hindsight is 20/20, right?
Absolutely.
And so to look back, like now I can recognize that my addiction was a response to trauma in my life, to emotional irregulation.
Yep, for sure.
And disassociating myself from my feelings. But a lot of that was in my blind spot.
Yeah.
And so it just really wasn't apparent to me. And anytime I would just try to, not use the psychosomatic qualities of withdrawal that happen, right? And just like going through that where I just felt like there was something inherently wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I was naive to it because I'd never been physically addicted to anything before. And it's not a scene that I was ever part of. Like I knew people that like maybe years later found out that they were in recovery and seeing their success, but never knew anyone that was in it.
Yeah.
Or really hung out with anybody, not that I was aware of.
Yeah.
I think from some of the stuff I shared earlier where I was, I grew up partying. But I created boundaries, to really change my life, and I moved out of state. I moved from Las Vegas to Utah.
Yeah. So are you guys, so you're originally from Utah though?
No, I'm from Las Vegas.
Oh, so at that time in Vegas, when you were in Vegas, oh, that's right. You were in Vegas.
Like growing up.
Yeah,
and
growing
then
up. What made you move to Utah?
Just coming to go to college.
That's right. BYU, right?
BYU, UVU.
UVU.
Yeah. Go Wolverines.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hey. But yeah, it was, but also there was a thriving art scene here, a thriving music scene.
Yeah, that's right.
My bands that I had in Las Vegas, we would come up here to play, and there was a thriving underground. I think wherever there's a conservative majority, there's always going to be a unique underground. Yeah. And historically, the Utah culture has been steep in the arts. I think that's what carried the pioneers.
Absolutely.
Song and dance and art.
Yep.
To even get here.
Yeah.
Right. And so but just always impressed in that. And people would say like, well, why did you move to Utah? And especially if you do music, it's like, you don't understand, like you have to come experience it for yourself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it's just, being up here. And I just think that there is a lot of sober culture and lifestyle here that helped supported me early on.
Yeah.
But now looking back, even though I had abstained from drugs and alcohol for nearly 14 years, I can see how some of my behaviors were manifesting or untreated. Yeah. If you look back to like just whatever it is that wasn't okay within me, I grew up in a way of like, well, we don't talk about feelings, or let's like, just pull up your bootstraps, just get over it, like positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
I grew up thinking that people chose to be depressed or people chose to be addicts, kind of this mentality that I didn't understand. So for me, when I realized that I've had an issue, and eventually after failed attempts, like, I don't know what to do. And I think it was hard to ask for help because I didn't even know how to help myself. And it was that self-sufficiency, right? That I wasn't meeting.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I felt lame, dude.
Oh,
Like, honestly, I felt
bet.
so lame, because it wasn't even,
bro.
It wasn't even something that I was seeking, right? Where I wasn't in social circles of people that were, using opiates or amphetamines, anything like that. Like for me, it was all came through like painkillers and eventually Adderall.
Adderall. Yep.
And because I had this, and they came through proper channels, but I abused it because I wasn't okay inside.
Yeah.
I wasn't okay inside. And these things help me to disassociate from that.
Absolutely. And pain medications, bro, or any type of like pill medications or prescription medications, it's such a fine line, bro, because especially for someone who's got the symptoms and the characteristics of an addictive personality, or someone who's an addict, right? And they're trying to medicate their ailments, right? Whether it's physical or mental, and not realizing that they're possibly can be addicted. It's hard to make that choice to, should I take the medication? Should I not take the medication? Right. Because a lot of people, we hear it a lot. They get prescribed medication from doctors for whatever the situations are and become addicts.
Yeah.
And now they're dealing with it for an extended period of time until they either get it together or overdose. It's horrible.
It is. Yeah. It is. And, and when I realized, my problem, I think definitely since I couldn't see my actions and things, I couldn't see it in the reflection of other people using it. Because like I said, I didn't hang with people, and which also I didn't hang with people that used, which also meant I could hide it more.
So would you have considered yourself like a functioning addict? Is that something that you would have, or is that, or did you
for a time being until I wasn't?
When you were in use, did you ever think like, man, this is I think I'm an addict, bro, even though it does, how you're saying like it looked different for you, and you weren't around the people that actually look like, got the look of addict, right?
Well, I remember, definitely feeling that, because and I just felt like I just felt like such an anomaly, because I knew I was doing something that I didn't agree with, because I knew I was abusing these pills, but I also am like, well, I don't know if I identify as an addict. Yeah. Because I didn't understand really what that was then,
Yeah, you think of addict, you think of some vagabond or someone on the street, homeless, like, or someone, doing whatever they can to steal from their parents, steal from their family loved ones to support their addiction. Yeah. Yeah, addicts and just addiction is subjective.
But also because of that, it gave me numerous opportunities to hide it. Yeah. Because also like if I had gone through a very invasive open heart surgery. Yeah. Because we explained like I was born with this valve, right? And so, having it come through that channel where for a long time it could be associated with that. And I never subscribed to like that rock and roll like cliche of like, well, we could just I could just absorb this, right? Just be like, well, of course I'm doing this, man. It's like we've never subscribed to that, and so it was basically just me trying to maintain and function. Yeah. And I never understood this too until recently, where when people have said the drugs or the alcohol wasn't my problem, I was using that as a solution. I thought that was a solution, but ultimately, I mean, that's just the gasoline on the fire. There was definitely something that I needed to deal with internally, whether it's trauma from decades ago or whether it's stuff over the last 10 years or, when you grow up and you get into your career and you get into starting a family and being a parent and, so much that goes on, we absorb more and more. And, I didn't really know how to regulate my emotions, how to deal with things in healthy ways. I like the comparison to like, if we're driving the car in our life, right? And say that car is a station wagon. Yeah. And whatever we're dealing with, we just keep throwing it in the back, but eventually we have to hit the brakes.
Absolutely.
Right. And all that crap in the back is just going to come
Come
flying
to
and
the
hit you in the
front.
head, right? And you got to own it, right?
Absolutely,
You're like,
dog.
okay, you know, and so I think in you know, when did I realize like I needed people to create boundaries? You know, there's something that really helped me, and you know, and there's this is something that I'm still processing because I know it was hard for them, you know, to say, hey, like we love you, but you're not right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we want you to get better, but like, you know, life is not a spectator sport.
Absolutely not.
You know, and I became that. I became a spectator in my own life, and where everyone else around me, like, well, we're in the game,
Yeah.
and we don't know what the hell you're doing, you know, because we've given you numerous chances. This is my family,
Yeah.
you know, my wonderful wife, my kids, my bandmates, other people around me that I think were just trying to like, hey, well, let's like, not sure what's going on, because I would gaslight people because I was so afraid to not be able to get the relief that I was seeking from using the medications, that I didn't want someone to interfere and to say, well, we're going to get you off of that.
Yep.
Because I didn't know how it could be, again, because I didn't even understand like what the solution was.
Yeah.
And I just knew that simply just not taking them wasn't going to work anymore. That we tried that numerous times, like so many times. Yep. And so my wife said, hey, we're going to sell the house. We're going to move. You're not coming with until if you get help and you can show that, you know, that
she drew the line.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that, you know, and I could say that in two ways. I could say that in a way like, yeah, she sucks, bro. Like how's she going to do that to me? Yeah. Right. No, dude. No,
absolutely not.
Not at all. This is, we love you. We don't know what else to do, but you know, you need to get help.
Yeah.
And you need to prove that, you know, that we matter to you.
Absolutely, bro.
And same with the band, where the band said, hey, like you're not you. I had a lot of erratic behaviors.
Is that
I wasn't
what it
playing
looked like? That's what your addiction looked like? Erratic behavior.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, my people never knew who they were gonna get.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and so I wasn't playing well. I was late all the time.
Oh, I bet that's when they started, because you're a great musician, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's when it was like, wait a minute, they had to look. Now it's not, you're not playing as up to the standard that you've usually played to. I bet.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, and for me, like where I would excuse these things, like I wasn't taking ownership of it, and I can look back and I'm like, I know that's not me. You know, someone else is driving that car, right?
Absolutely,
you know,
bro.
But it wasn't cool, and it's not, you know, and I feel really bad about that because, you know, we've worked hard, and there's always been an excellence that we bring, an athletic attitude.
Absolutely.
You know,
I loved how you said that last time.
Yeah, yeah, and that's always been the standard, and you know, where I just slowly was checked out because it became so. I became so focused on myself. Like, how do I feel? Right? Can I be, you know, and can I participate? And on what level? And what will I let myself do? And that's just, you know, whether I'm, no matter what was going on, where it just continued. I would base my day on how I felt, and if based on my mood, I would decide if I'm going to participate or not.
Yeah.
You know, and now I've learned that it's like, hey, you know, you got to show up. You got to do what you've committed to. Absolutely. Like trying to get my integrity back.
Absolutely.
And, you know, because we see this in a lot of young people too, where they're waiting for the mood or that window of like, well, if I feel like it, then I'll go do this or that. And what we know is that, no, actually, if you go do what you're supposed to,
get out and get it,
then your mood's going to change.
Absolutely.
You know, but that's something that that I forgot about. I definitely forgot about that in my addiction. And I even remember where just feeling almost content or allowing myself to just be like, well, if my family doesn't want me, you know, I'll live in with some different friends, you know, and kind of, you know, just float around, you know, for a little bit. And this was maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
And if the band's going to go out with me, well, you know, maybe I don't want to do that anyways.
Yeah.
Which is a total lie.
Changing your whole paradigm.
Dude, which is a total lie. I mean, everything that I've wanted in my life, like I've said this where it's like I was living my dream. You know, I had the family that I wanted with the woman that I wanted to be with. I had the career with the people that I wanted to play with and love and respect. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And I let it slip,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and because now like getting, you know, and we'll talk about this, like what happened to make those changes.
Yeah.
To where did I come in contact with myself again, with the universe, and like I call it vibrating evenly.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I was so distorted.
Balanced vibration.
Yeah. And to when that changed and realize like, oh no, you know, I very much, you know, love music. I love performing.
Yep.
You know, I love my band and everything that we've worked for. And of course, beyond everything, I love my family and my wife. And what does it take to show them that they matter to me, and that I want to make amends, and that I want to continue to work to rebuild trust.
Rebuild it.
And, you know, we have to realize too, that while, you know, maybe at first where it's like, okay, you've been doing this for a couple months. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
You know, but what's different? And I think it's ultimately, I've been through hell. I mean, I knew that it wasn't about, and it's a great motivator that other people want you to do well, and to step up and be present for them again. But you have to do it for yourself.
Yep. First,
you have to do it for yourself. And if you know Mel Robbins, who I love, she's incredible. She shared about, and I love this quote. This is what, you know, when your life has gone to hell and you finally pull yourself out of it, you don't forget that.
Yep.
You know, and we need to go through those hardships where it's this idea of, oh, I just, you know, I'm going to change and I want, you know, let's forget the past, right? That was the old me and yeah, we want to move forward and have success, but having to be accountable to the past and recognize, I think there are some reminders there of like, this is what we don't want to go back to.
Absolutely.
We don't want to go back to that. And my biggest fear was that I would never feel okay. I remember when I was physically, off all the pills I was taking, the anxiety kicked in, like big time.
Yeah.
And by this time, you know, so well, let me backtrack, because that's one of the things where I continued to use, because of that same thing, right?
Yeah.
How many times did I promise to myself, well, I'm not, you know, I'm going to quit tomorrow. I'm not going to do this, you know? And it felt like, well, now I'm just seeking relief. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. People that haven't dealt with addiction or with anyone in their life or circle that's been through addiction, it's not even about, oh, I'm going to get blasted, bro. Or I'm going to, you know, I'm going to go out and have a good time. It's like, no, I feel even worse. I maybe even fear for myself.
Yep.
I can understand why people maybe want to disappear.
Yeah.
And those are dark thoughts. Like I've never entertained that. And to be in some of those moments where that has happened is horrible.
Scary.
I had a family friend that reached out and said, you know, I know you're struggling with something, you know, and this is your time. Her and her family are in recovery and for decades, and been very close with my family. And she just reached out, you know, this is when I was living in my friend's basement. And she said, listen, I know you're going through something, but this is maybe your time to heal. This is your time to work on this. Here's someone that has a similar story, and I think maybe you should call him. And you know what? Like prior to this, maybe if it was a year ago or 6 months ago, prior to that moment, I wouldn't have called anybody. But I thought, you know what? No, like I need to find something. Like I can't exist like this anymore.
Yeah.
I really want out of this.
Absolutely.
I just don't know how. And when I called this guy, he had shared his story, and I mean, it just mirrored mine so much, up to the part of him, finding a program, getting help. And, now it's about 6-7 years in his recovery. But he had mentioned Renaissance Ranch.
Yeah.
And it was just a footnote. It wasn't, this guy, he doesn't work for that,
He just happened to just throw it out there.
He just happened to throw it out. And I knew that I was looking for something that was a little more intense than what I had tried before. I never thought that 30 days was enough. Not for me. It's like maybe at 30 days, you can realize, okay, maybe I can live without drugs or alcohol or whatever it is you're dealing with. But then it's really getting into the real work is what's going on inside of me that always makes me go back to it.
Yep.
Because that's what we need to work on, right?
Absolutely. The internal.
If we get rid of that, but yeah, I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good, bro.
Yeah. It's this thing where, and I just saw this, and I think I told you guys where I reached out to Renaissance Ranch and was it the admissions?
Admissions, yep.
Yeah, admissions admissions were like, like maybe we could, looks like your insurance will cover this. We could do this, but you need to follow up because it's a busy program, and if we have an opening, we'll let you know. And and I was still spun out, and just that was one of my problems then, like just not following through on things anymore, being forgetful, being in a haze.
Yep.
And yeah, so he said, no, I don't think this is for you. I was like, oh, and it's like, yeah, because I thought, like, what a great, like, this is a 60-day.
Yeah.
Where I think that's what I need. And I didn't understand anything about
treatment or admissions.
Yeah. But, and I know I'm sharing some of what I shared last time, but
it's all good.
We can,
all good.
Fix it in post.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
But it's, it's really, I knew that it wasn't even about, because I had to let go of what's going to happen with my marriage.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with my career. The front line of it all was like, what's going to happen to me, and for either of those things or anything else that's important to me, to have a chance, I have to figure myself out.
Yep.
And that's 100%. And because just, I can't believe like that I was wrapped up in something that I never imagined I'd be part of.
It just kind of got out of hand.
Yeah, dude. Like and I can look back now. I mean, it's been, a little over 9 months. And that's great. Like going for someone that like couldn't even go a week,
without substances.
Yeah. Or like 3 days or 5 days, to say 9 months. And so now it's like, I'm seeing some new perspective. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that dude, but I have to own it. I have to own that that's who I became, and that's what I was dealing with, right? Because there's I'm accountable.
Yeah.
That's what part of getting my integrity back, and trying to fix things is not saying, hey, well, I'm just great now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the example in the big book, in talking about making amends, where it's like the farmer after a horrible tornado, going to the cellar to grab his wife and say, oh, babe, isn't that great? The wind stopped blowing. Everything's fine now.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy. But before I could do any of that, I realized that I needed to do the work on myself. And that's why I'm so glad that I found this program, and no one asked me to come on here and to say, hey, tell everyone how great Renaissance Ranch is,
Absolutely.
You're sponsored by that for the podcast. But I share that because it really did changed my life, or it really did help me to get connected with myself again.
Absolutely.
To jump back to where I mentioned, once I weaned off the substances, the anxiety kicked in.
Yep.
And that was the thing. That was like the eye of the storm for me, because looking at that, I thought, okay, this is what always sent me back to my cycle.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I think there's something inherently wrong with me. I've been feeling like this more and more over the last 12 years. And I thought, I mean, I was so convinced that something went wrong with my heart surgery.
Yeah.
And I had,
it's scary, bro.
Yeah. And I even had people tell me, it's like, well, you were on the bypass machine for a long time. You might have some spiritual hitchhikers. Like all, and these Reiki specialists and emotional coding. I did a theta chamber. I did, I mean, all these things, but it never got to the point of like, what are you really dealing with? You know, it was just more of like
more surface level,
like, we're just going to take away the using,
you
know, or try to get you to forget it. But what happened, with Renaissance Ranch is first showing you, hey, you can physically live without the substances.
Absolutely.
You can physically do that. But now that you're okay, now let's talk about what, you know, why are you anxious? What's up with your emotional, mental, and spiritual condition that you don't feel okay with yourself?
Yep. And
we're going to talk about hard things. We're going to have these other men that are in the program with you, and also try to help you recognize these things.
Absolutely.
And the more accountable you get, the more they can help you, but they're going to call you out.
Yep.
They're going to call you out on these things.
And they will. The Renaissance,
dude.
You know, you got some people a little bit further along in their program, some first coming in, so that mix of dynamic. And I feel like the ranch, you know, we have a big alumni community too, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot of community events. We do a lot of events for the community with the guys. Like we just finished doing the lava hot springs, where the alumni, the Utah houses go out there and they all get out there, right? You were out there and it was fun. So they not only show you that you could live life without substances, but it can still be a fun, great life. Because a lot of times us who have suffered from addiction, our perception of fun looks different. And we have a skewed perception of what we think fun is because we were always high, either drunk or whatever that looks like. So it's a scary feeling to feel like, man, I may not experience a fun life anymore without drinking, without alcohol, without drugs, without whatever the substance is, right? And I feel like at the ranch, I've been there for about 4 years, employed there, dude, and it's always creating situations to put the men out there in the world, living life and having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, man, that's good. That's good to hear you talking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sorry, dude. I
can rap, dude. You know, all right. So you're just waiting for you're like, just launch back. I still want to cut you out. Like,
no,
if you have any questions.
You're good.
Like,
no, you're good. So I know with the ranch, could you go into a little bit of just your first days coming in, right? And how did you feel? Because I was thinking while you were talking, right? I was thinking about, you know, the Renaissance Ranch has a unique dynamic of men who have not suffered from incarceration, right?
Right.
And men who have suffered from incarceration and come from that life. So, you know, in years before I've been there, it's always been private, right? So now it's just a mix of, like I said, guys who have been incarcerated and some haven't. So how was that dynamic for you coming into the ranch and kind of mixing with the different lifestyles? Yeah,
you know what, like coming in, it definitely, you know, I think something that happens is with that dynamic, it's easy to feel underqualified.
Yeah.
Right. But I know for myself where it's like, hey, you know, I've been around, like you know, I'm not naive to, you know, different backgrounds and different things, like have the opportunity to meet so many great people throughout my travels in life. So I was able to hang with everybody. But so it was never anyone that, you know, where it's like, oh, I can't relate to them, or if anything, where it's like, I just felt empathy, where it's like someone that's been institutionalized like
Yeah.
for so long. You meet someone that's, in their early 40s and like half of their life been spent in and out of jail and prison,
Big difference.
And so it's like, well, yeah, it is hard. But if I created a parable for myself where it's just kind of like, yeah, I created my own prison.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, and while I know that, it's, and I don't say like, I understand what it's like to be on the inside or anything like that. But just recognizing like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm not court ordered to be here.
Yeah.
I haven't, I don't have any, DUIs or any drug charges or,
Yep.
anything like that, but I always put yet on there.
Yeah.
Yet on the end, because just like I could never imagine that I would be addicted to any substances, or let my life get out of control.
Yeah.
And not show up for my family or my career. If you can keep in these cycles, who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
And I think and just on the positive side, right? If we keep working and give ourselves a chance and give those that really are willing to work it, give them a chance, then also you never know.
Yep.
We can also put yet on there too,
Absolutely.
right? Right. Because
Absolutely.
but getting in there where, yeah, I think at first we're just kind of feeling a little underqualified. I didn't let anyone know I was part of the band.
I was just about to say that. Did anybody recognize you?
There were a couple people, but they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And I think most of that were like staff.
Yep.
People.
Staff guys.
Yeah. That worked there. But as far as actually, there was one guy, that, yeah, after, so I take that back. There was one guy because, I had done some work with some of his dad's equipment that he built some studio equipment on the recording side.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and a great homie as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You gotta have them good homies, bro.
Oh yeah. But everyone else it was just suggested like, hey, like, and I was fine with this because I don't go in there flaunting anything, right? Or it's like, I'm here for all the same reasons. Like,
sure.
It's not about like, what I do. This is about who I am and who I want to get back to.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, I've been fortunate to hustle the base.
Yep,
right. And get to do that, all over the world. And, it's something that's been a great blessing to my family.
Absolutely.
And so many great adventures with my bandmates. But this was time for me to detach from those things, right? And say, well, now let's focus on Branden.
Absolutely. Did they know that you checked yourself in?
Yeah. And that was one of the great things, right? Where it's like, okay, I have a core of people that I'm accountable to.
Yep.
Right. And to say, hey, like, as long as these people know where I am and then I'm working on this, like, then I'm fine.
For sure.
And that was a great thing my experience was just, it's hard. It's really hard to rewire yourself. Then you were also dealing with a lot of guilt and shame of like, how am I doing this? You're also dealing with people that, you see that really have it down. And then you have some that don't even want to try. Yeah. And you're like, kind of like,
it's a rough dynamic.
I want to be motivated by this dude, but then this dude's bugging me. And like, how can I stay centered? Because we do create accountability for each other in this program. And I think that's something that's hard for dudes that, coming from jail or prison where it's like, oh, it's best that I'm not part of anybody's business.
Yeah.
Right. And now you come to this program where it's like, no, we're going to call each other out.
Yeah.
If you got some shenanigans going on, this isn't about, being a rat.
No,
it's about helping someone step up.
Yeah. It's about accountability.
Yeah. And that's the thing where, it's getting in there and doing that. But yeah, I just loved my experience there.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's something that's at first very hard, and to, like I said, shedding the guilt, the shame. I think that one perspective I've tried to create lately is that shame is a pronoun. Shame wants to take over. Shame wants to become you, like,
Absolutely.
right? Guilt.
Shame wants to become paramount.
Yeah. Guilt is a verb,
Mhm.
right? But because it's, hey, I did an action. Now I'm feeling something awkward or uneasy about it.
Yep.
And so I can do another action to try to realign that.
Absolutely.
But when we don't take care of those things, the shame kicks in. It's like, hey, yeah, when we feel guilty, yeah, I did a crappy thing. But now shame wants to kick in after a while. Say, no, you are a piece of crap, right? That's what you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to say, well, yeah, I guess I can't change, right? And that in itself is crap, right?
Absolutely.
I'm keeping this PG for everybody.
No, you're good, bro. So you're in the ranch and you're trying to learn yourself, trying to learn your addiction, like we talked about, trying to get inside. Who was your therapist?
Dave Callister.
Dave Callister. I was just about to say Dave Callister is a great man. Shout out to Dave, man.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. For
so
sure.
because we got a great clinical team, we got great staff all around that keep the house moving, right? And we're all in a space of service where we're trying to usher you guys through your beginning foundations of laying a solid foundation to sustain your sobriety, right?
Yeah.
So maybe go into it a little bit about your first experiences with Dave, if you can remember, like the experience with your therapist.
Yeah, well, he was the one that, I mean, he was aware of what I do, and
for
I mean,
sure.
he's a huge music fan.
He is.
Like, there's so many people there, like, that I was meant to meet.
Yep.
There's no doubt to me about that, where it's like I was meant to work with these people.
Absolutely.
And to get to have the opportunity to cross paths and connect. What I love about Dave is he was the one that first suggests, like, hey, let's let everyone get to know Branden, and that it's not this attachment to anything professional.
Yep.
Right. And so, yeah, like I've loved working with him, because really it was really about, being able to reconnect with myself and to have respect for myself again, like to say, hey, again, you want to correct things in your life, and in order to do that, like, you need to believe in yourself. You're not damaged goods.
Absolutely.
You're not a bad person. You're a sick person.
Yep.
And, and you need to get well, and you need to believe in yourself that you can do that. What I loved doing with Dave was meditating.
Yeah. Big on holistic therapy for sure. Holistic methods.
Yeah.
For sure.
I loved, and even sometimes, like, we would listen to a song.
Yep.
To start, because he knows my language.
Absolutely.
Right. As a music aficionado himself.
Absolutely.
Right. But it was just a really great connection there. The other thing that I loved is just right away, being part of recovery and Renaissance Ranch. It is a 12-step program.
Yep.
And so right away in starting with that, and I think with preparing in step one, realizing, that I'm powerless, over drugs and alcohol.
Absolutely.
For me, drugs, and that my life was unmanageable.
Yep.
That's the qualification for me to feel like, well, I didn't go down this, this far down, or this didn't happen.
Yep.
No, like, I qualified because no matter what I did or didn't do, like, I'm in this state and I need to get help.
Absolutely.
Right. But what's great is to prepare my story in a way to, well, now you're going to present this in front of all the dudes.
Yep.
Right. And we're going to ask you questions about it, maybe probe a little bit,
critique it a little.
Yeah. And to really get you to dig. And that's, I loved that.
Yeah.
And I know for some dudes, it's hard to be in that hot seat. Right. But I thought, like, hey, if I'm doing this and I want to change, I need to be open to any ideas that there are.
Yeah.
Right. Help me to see the things that I'm not seeing. Right. Help me to see, am I manipulating to try to massage this story, or massage, like, hey, that, was I an ad? I don't know.
Make it seem less as strong of an addiction, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And to really just look at again, getting to the root of it, where are my character defects inside of me? What do I need to work on that mental, emotional, and spiritual state to get well again?
Yeah.
But, it's like, before we can fix the wound, we got to pull the bullet out, right?
Absolutely. Bro, gotta get that bad boy out.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy, man. I thought I had a roommate that hated me.
Yeah.
But you know what he was doing is he was motivating me.
Oh, okay.
He was motivating me, and there was that when he started to see me show up for myself more, because I talk about all this where it's like, oh yeah, I went in, like they showed me how to do it. I got it down, man. Look at me now, right? No, I was in my ways, and actually in my own way.
Absolutely.
Right. I was my
set in those ways.
I was worse. I was my worst obstacle. And having I needed some tough love.
Yeah.
I needed some tough love. And my typical egotistic response is like, you don't like me. Because you're not letting me do what I want to do.
Absolutely,
right?
Bro.
Right?
That's weird, huh? How we constitute that. If I'm doing something you don't like, or I can't, you're not allowing me to do something, you must not like me.
Yeah. And
that's our addictive personality, bro.
Dude, but that's what I need. I needed to be called out on all of that, and it hurt.
Yeah.
It does hurt, but we get resilient, or we become aware of how to accept. I don't want to say resilient to it because we don't want to create this a wall.
Yeah.
To where it's like you can say whatever, like it's not going to get to me.
No.
Maybe if it does get to you, there's a reason.
Yeah, to create some reaction, some growth.
Yeah. And it's like I didn't want to just like manipulate and explain my way out of my behaviors anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. That's what I was doing, and I was doing that with everybody. Like I mentioned that one of my big issues was being distracted and late all the time. And I would just make up the dumbest excuses, or even where it's like, hey, yeah, that's true. That did happen. But guess what? It's like, you still have to, everyone has life. Everyone has things
Absolutely.
that happen, where it's, it would be, but using things that did happen, but just, really just like laying on that like so heavily.
Milking it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Thank you for that term.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I felt it because we get the milkers.
Yeah.
We do.
And I didn't want to be that way anymore.
Absolutely.
And I thought that it's going back. When we go back to rewiring the way that we think and the way that we process things, and learning to show up for ourselves again. There's simple things that we have to learn to do. I think as addicts and alcoholics, that self-care just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
My favorite thing is that, hey, we start the day, you make your bed.
Yep.
Right? And
tight.
Right? And the way that in doing that and feeling proud of myself, like say, after a week, I thought, I feel like a 12-year-old, but is that where I'm like, there's so much arrested development and so much, emotional,
absolutely,
stunnedness, right?
Yep.
That, maybe that's where I have to look at that,
Absolutely.
Right? Where it's like, hey, there's so much that you weren't taking care of anymore. We're going to do baby steps.
And those little things and those little seemingly minute behaviors, like making your bed, it's like one of the first accomplishments of the day, really.
Yeah.
And it's scientifically proven that when you do make your bed, it sets the rest of your day more highly successful, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is not only that, dude, it builds our confidence. Like, man, I just knocked my bed out. Boom, my bed looks clean. And you might not think it's doing something to you, but that's starting off, setting the tone for your day. And I talk about this too a lot with the guys in the ranch. It's like, we've had so much negative interactions in our past due to our addiction that we feel like shit about ourselves. We feel like crap. We don't hold ourselves to such high regard, right?
Yeah.
And I always talk about it's important for us to do these little things like making your bed, having integrity, showing up when you're supposed to show up, because the
Yeah.
byproduct of you actually practicing those behaviors is, what does it do? It builds your confidence. A
Oh, yeah.
confident man, now you're feeling strong, you're walking around strong. So man, dude, that's great. So you're in the ranch. So when in the ranch did you feel like, man, this is working? Can you think
I
of
would
it?
say, I mean, it was definitely like close, like probably about like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks in, that's when I started to notice the change, because I mean, I was wearing my hoodies all the time,
Yep.
the hood up, right? In my sweats, right?
Yep.
And just rehabbing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, we would even go out and do, so we'd go out and do recreational activities, or
Yeah.
we'd go to meetings and we'd do different stuff where there wasn't a reason to stay in your
No.
sweats and your hoodie all the
No.
time, right?
Celebrate yourself.
Yeah. But I just remember just feeling like how am I ever going to make it through to the other side? Like, when am I going to start to feel like myself again? And I remember when that finally started to happen, where it's like the hood came down.
Yeah.
Maybe I started combing my hair.
Yep.
Right.
Blowing it out a little bit
Yeah,
more, like bringing
yeah.
the dew back.
Right. And just, it just really realizing, not only can I live physically without the substances, I could thrive.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's not just, okay, well, I'm where you told me to be, so I'm here.
Yep.
But, like, whatever, dude, yeah. To like, hey, like, what are we doing? Like, let's go.
Yep.
Like, let's just be in the moment. I think that part of the anxiety that I experience, I say experience, but what was even more magnified, like when I was in my addiction, was either playing the tape back or playing it forward. I could never just be here.
Yeah, I can never just be in the moment, bro.
Where
in the
it's
now.
like, well, let me just hurry up and half-ass everything, because I just need to, I can't be in suspense anymore about what's around the corner or anything. And then in that moment, right, just half-ass through, because what's next?
Absolutely.
Or we're talking and all of a sudden you're like, bro, where are you? Right?
Yeah.
You're looking at me, but you're not here. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I was thinking, this or that, stuck in the past kind
Absolutely.
of thing. Again, man, I think a lot of it comes back to tapping into that athletic attitude,
Absolutely.
right? Of just like, of being able to do hard things. You know what? Sometimes you make bad plays. Sometimes you strike out. Sometimes my son's learning skateboarding.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, he's working with ramps and everything.
Oh, that's good.
But he's very timid.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we're going to show you this. Sam Jones made this Tony Hawk documentary. And it's the beginning of it is like a hard, long 5 minutes of him just wiping out.
Yeah.
Being frustrated.
Absolutely. That's a great way to start it.
But to see where it's like, and that happens, right? But it doesn't matter that if you wipe out, it's that you get back up.
Yep. And continue.
You get back up and you dust yourself off. You say, okay, let's go.
Yeah. I love that.
And so it's essentially that, like, but when you start to feel those sparks happen, and things connecting again, to where like, maybe I can do this.
Now you feel like you're firing in all cylinders.
And what a great program. Like when you talk about like, hey, we're going to help you to have integrity, to do some hard things, to meet your mark. This is where you need to be every day at this time. And this is what we're going to do. What a great, basically it's like, here's a life trainer.
Yep.
Because you can't do these things on your own in your life.
Not.
But if you can learn to do this and have support in doing it, and then insert yourself back into your life and be able to be that person again, or step up to be that person, dude, sign me up.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't, but now I can say that now.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't know that's what the program was going to show me. There was so much more that I gained, and really it's just it comes down to the integrity of to show up for your life, right? To learn how to show up for yourself, to show up for others,
which is important,
right? And to be honest. And sometimes that means talking about hard stuff, right? And that's why when I talk about having a therapeutic community in Renaissance Ranch, where it's basically, hey, we're going to talk about each other's stuff that we're dealing with.
Yep.
And I recognize that, you know what, you haven't been showing up anymore, or
you're slacking a little bit.
You're slacking a little bit, or you wanted to be more accountable in this area, and you even said like, hey, if I'm slipping, tell me.
Absolutely.
And some people wouldn't want to say like, hey, like you're gonna think I don't like you.
Yeah.
Right. But it's actually because I love you and I want you to do the same to me.
Absolutely.
Because this is the proving ground. I mean, this is the time where it's like I need help too. So if I'm not willing to do that with you, I'm not signaling to you that it's okay for you to do that to me.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position in my life where it's like I have everything to lose.
Yep.
And now that I'm in touch with myself again, in touch with and proud of like remembering like, dude, you know what? I'm an okay person.
Yeah.
You know what?
Absolutely. You're starting to learn yourself again, the new you.
Yeah. And guess what? And I want to keep working on this path because I can't believe everything that's important to me that I just like, just effed it off, dude.
Absolutely.
Right? Like how much, like I never could imagine ever having a career in music. It was just a dream. Yeah. I remember trying to date my wife and her just being like, I don't know, dude, and then later for the tables to turn, she's like, no, you're rad.
Yep.
Like,
I think I like you.
Yeah. Well, the tables became equal. Like, I shouldn't say it turned,
bro.
right?
Yeah, for sure. Now we like each other.
Yeah, exactly. And where it's just, so to have everything that I have, and to realize like, bro, like you got to step back up.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize like, hey, you made some mistakes.
Yep.
But let's learn from that.
Absolutely.
Right. And if anything, and coming on here where it's like, yeah, I want to share my experience, but it's not to say, hey, everybody, look how great I'm doing.
Absolutely not.
Look how great Branden is.
No.
It's what it is, because I was in a position where I didn't know who to turn to for help. I was ashamed. I felt guilty. I was on a roller coaster of emotions, and moods, and behaviors.
Yep.
I did not know myself anymore. And I just continued to stay in my cycle because I wanted to disassociate myself from that until I came to terms. I had to come to terms with myself and realize like I need help, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And you lose hope, man.
Absolutely, bro.
You lose hope. You think that because we burnt so many bridges, right? Even the people that were
like so many relationships, hurt so many people. You know what I mean? And it's like, at the ranch, I feel like, we take men, right? We take men and women, and the majority of the staff at the ranch are in recovery as well.
Yeah.
Has either suffered from addiction and pulled themselves out of the trenches to become successful in life, and now utilizing those tools, right, to help other men and women. So that's what I feel like. I feel like we take men and women that are struggling with addiction, and it's affecting their way to either function in their families, in their lives. And through our experience and through obviously their education, we give these tools to these men and women to be able to utilize in their reality, to be able to systematically eventually get them put back into their family to utilize those tools that they've been practicing for however long.
Yeah.
And so I know you just got your 9-month chip. Clap it up, 9 months, right?
Yeah,
that's a big number, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're out of the ranch now. So where are you as of right now in your journey as far as being 9 months? Congratulations, by the way, 9 months clean.
Thanks.
Like what's going on with you now? Where are you at now?
Yeah, well, with Renaissance Ranch being a 60-day program, you look at, well, what's the aftercare plan, right?
Yep.
Like, how do we transition back into the world?
Absolutely.
Because you know what, I think a lot of people learn to rehab well.
Yeah.
But they don't learn how to get back into life.
Yep.
And so I was looking at the aftercare plan of what that was, and to find the sober living house and an outpatient program that the ranch offers.
Yep.
And you know what? Like, my wife wanted me to do that, but she wanted it to be my idea.
Yeah,
I love that. Right? Always. She's so smart, dude. I'm telling you.
She'll drop those little nuggets into you.
Oh yeah,
big clicks.
And you know what it was? You touched on this. The great alumni program that Renaissance Ranch has.
Super important.
I have to mention this, that what really was a turning point for me, and this came really early, but I think there's so many reminders of the mess that we've made with ourselves, and that's always what I dealt with before. It's like, I can look in the mirror and see who I don't want to be anymore.
Absolutely.
But who can I become?
Yep.
Or an idea, an idea of it, at least like a blueprint a little bit.
Yep.
And to see every week all these dudes come back onto the property at Renaissance Ranch and that are living out in the world in, without drugs or alcohol.
Yep.
And it's not just, everyone sitting around like, oh man, I wish I could.
No.
It's about like, done with that.
Yep.
Now this is what I'm doing to thrive in my life
and to sustain
and I can't believe that I've rebuilt my relationships with my family and friends, that my career is thriving.
Love it.
I can't believe these other opportunities that are happening. And being able to help others.
Yep.
That was such a big deal for me. And in interacting with those people, hearing them say, I think what I figured it out was that I needed to do a sober living program and do the outpatient program, the aftercare, that's to slowly transition. And what happens with that, so I did that, I did 2 months in the residential and then 6 months in the outpatient. Yep. So that's an 8-month program.
Absolutely.
4 of those months in the outpatient program, I did a sober living house, which was awesome. I mean, so many great dudes that were also like getting after it to really change their lives, and to make that slow transition back home. Right, because there's a lot of it's hard to make those changes again, right? And we've learned in a certain environment how to recover and work on ourselves. Well, now let's slowly help you adapt back into some of your familiar places,
for sure,
or learn some new places, or different opportunities. I do love that. This is the I guess the dynamic that between my family moving and say, hey, you're not coming with. But what a great blessing now to go to a house where I hadn't lived there before. I could create new beginnings.
Yeah, absolutely,
right,
bro.
To create a new beginning, because the places that we live and that we hang out in, they absorb energy.
They do.
They create so much, and not to say, hey, everyone needs to move. Everyone, hey, go get a new house, whatever kind of thing. It's not about that, but it's about that was just an extra bonus for me to help see myself in new spaces, and to bring my new energy,
absolutely,
and also to be aware of like, okay, well, where's the emotional or mental relapse? Yeah, I'm not using substances, but how am I doing with my behaviors? How am I doing? Am I being defensive? Where's my ego at?
Absolutely.
Am I processing with my heart, or am I just keeping it at the door with my ego in fear?
Not receptive.
Yeah. And so I think that's a big thing, that, again, that emotional regulation that we learn, that I learned in this program, and continue to work on that every day. But this is what I love, to share with guys and ladies. And something that I just saw that worked for me is that as you get more time outside of treatment, say if you're going every day through the week, and eventually they say, okay, well, now you can come one day less and 1 day less, right? They free up some of your days.
Slowly free up your space.
But what are you doing for your recovery at then? Because sometimes a lot of people can feel, overwhelmed with recovery. It's like, oh, well, this is a day off, but addiction doesn't take a day off.
Absolutely not.
Right? Addiction is out there doing push-ups in the parking lot.
Like, waiting on you.
Right? Yeah. Waiting for you to slip up. Dude.
Super important to keep that in mind.
But what I started looking at is like, well, okay, this where I was living was in Draper and Sandy. And
the Sandy Draper house.
Yeah. And so it's great to be part of that community while I'm there, but where am I going to land? Like you don't stay there forever.
No.
Right. So it's great to participate a little bit, like when you're in the community, but also to be making moves to where it's like, okay, where am I going to land after this?
Absolutely.
And so let me find my
There's
sober
a
community
plan.
there.
Yep.
Right. And, finding a sponsor, someone that can mentor me, and just, continue to help me to grow and analyze myself.
Absolutely.
Right. And just really say like, hey, like, what are you doing for recovery today?
Mm-hmm.
Or this week. And, so for me, that's something that I started doing. And like I said, like I was never part of the drug scene in Utah County or anywhere.
Yeah.
But so I didn't I didn't really know much of the recovery scene on that, which they can be kind of linked up.
Coincided for sure.
Yeah. So it's been great to find this this sober community, this recovery culture,
It's
right?
big.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome, and so many great people. And honestly, like because now I'm an open book, right? Say I think it's like Kendrick said, where it's like,
Yep.
Peace to the fashion police, somewhere in my heart, on my sleeve.
Yep. Absolutely, bro.
Right?
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna own it, right? It's but it's sharing and when it's in context, right? Where it's like, hey, I'm Branden, I'm in recovery. How are you?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're just here to drop off, the mail, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
TMI, dude. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. But it's
Time
not.
and place.
But when it's in context, and like when I moved back home, or started showing up at home, I was doing sober living.
Yeah.
But I started to show back up at home and in my neighborhood, and people just assumed that for the last 2 months I'd been on tour.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. My friend has been playing in my stead.
Yeah.
And who I love, and shout out to him.
Yeah.
But it's this thing of people just assuming that, and I could fall back on that, right? Say, oh no, well, let me tell you where I've been,
Yeah.
what I've been doing, because I need to hear myself talk about it.
Absolutely.
I want to
bro.
have these conversations because people don't have them enough, because it's so
just
taboo.
a taboo, bro.
It's so
to talk about
taboo,
addiction.
just like it used to be around mental health and depression,
Yep.
where it's like, oh, we don't talk about this,
We don't talk about depression.
yeah, or suicide,
Oh, for sure.
or suicidal ideation, right?
Yeah.
It's we'll tell you sorry if it happened, but we're not gonna, ever say, hey, are you struggling? Like, what's going on? And same with addiction, right?
Absolutely.
It's that same thing where I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna not say what I've been doing, and nor am I gonna act like I've got it down and now I'm like the rep.
No.
Let me be the neighborhood rep for recovery.
The clinician.
Yeah, right. But what's been great is and being timid and a little bit of like, well, if I'm a little too honest, like, are people going to keep their distance?
Yeah.
And it's just been nothing but love.
Yeah.
Nothing
Absolutely.
but love, and finding other people that are also in recovery, that are just like, dude, this is so great,
Yep.
and making those connections, right?
Absolutely.
And again,
bro.
where
those
it's
are
just,
important.
and it's being afraid, you're having that fear of like, well, how are people going to accept this? Hey, I don't want my kids to come over to your house and say,
Yeah.
no, I'm not on drugs. I was
get it.
on drugs. I'm
Yeah.
not on drugs.
Not on drugs.
Not on, not doing, and that's a thing of like, where for me this time, this is a one and done.
Yeah.
So that means it's harder. It's putting more pressure on myself. Okay, well, what are you doing to make that stick?
Yeah.
Right? Because I loved my experience, but I don't want to go back.
Absolutely.
I want to keep working forward, so that I can continue to make these, living amends.
Yep.
With my family and friends, but also, I mean, I do hope that that I can help others.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's the double-edged sword, right? With sharing our recovery story, sharing our experience, right? Not only is it possibly helping other people, right? Planting seeds, or even helping somebody who's straightforward dealing with addiction at that moment. You just planted a seed, and now they feel like they have the courage to do it themselves, or attempt to go to therapy or treatment, or whatever it looks like. But it also, just sharing it, reminds ourselves and helps ourselves. At least
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
because if
yeah.
you go on my socials, that's all my socials are about. It's about recovery. It's about past incarceration, pulling myself out of being incarcerated for 7 years, and being successful in life. And I get the question, like, why do you talk about it all the time? Because if I talked about it, that the benefit of me overcoming incarceration and addiction would not go any further than that.
Yeah, yeah,
But not only is it helping other people, it's helping me. It's reminding myself.
yeah,
So that it's always good to continue that, bro. So
yeah.
yeah, I know that you're still in the band, obviously.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that? What do you got? If you could talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, look, just I know the last album cycle ended, and it was a great album, Sink Your Teeth.
Yeah.
And just looking to get creative again and make new music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the creative juices are still there, still
Dude,
flowing?
man, I'll tell you what, like it's been flowing
Really?
I feel a
love
creative
that,
surge.
bro.
And this is going back to where, I would in my addiction, and I thought I was being creative. And I would just get easily distracted. I'd start 10 different projects, or I'd go down to my home studio, and I would just end up tinkering on a guitar, like, I'm going to repair this real quick, right? And or playing through something, realize I didn't hit record.
Yeah.
Just dumb things.
Yep.
And then to feel like, I feel like I maybe lost that idea or whatever. Dude, I kid you not, stuff that I worked, some things I've created like 2 years ago, or some ideas have come full circle.
Wow.
Yeah. And just getting really creative, where it's like I have, just so many cool things. Like the orchestra in my head is like
absolutely
has tuned up.
So does the conjuring the conjuring of creativity, does it feel different to you as opposed to your past, from being in your addiction to being clean and sober now? Does it feel different?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time, because I liked the idea of creating before, but I mean, I sucked for a while, dude.
Yeah.
Just sucked, and whether it was a lack of creativity, or just even showing up and meeting a basic standard, right? But now, like again, where I feel recharged, I feel like
love that.
I can just hear, and as a bass player, I mean, I write a lot like on the bass, but I can hear like where these other textures, these other layers are going to be. Yep. And it's not where I'm making this complete composition, where in making demos where it's kind of like, well, these are placeholders. Like, if this is something that could become a Neon Tree song, I want Elaine or Chris, and especially Tyler, like to have their place in that, right? Where it's like, but this is just kind of to give you an idea or the vibe that I'm thinking, and a jumping off point, which is any collaboration.
Love that.
Really, yeah.
So it's not really just thinking about yourself. It's coming up, sparking some seed that's meant for everyone to come together and build on.
Yeah,
man, I love that.
Yeah, and so those creative forces are just coming on strong. Yeah, dude, I just love it, where like, because and my wife will tell you, it's like, music was always my first love, right? I mean, ever since I was young, and then as a bass player, where I've had so many great opportunities to play with so many different people, and I love so many different genres, different styles of music, which has allowed me to stretch out with so many different people. And I would love to play the bass.
Oh man,
while I might dabble in some other instruments, I have no business or interest. One. Yeah, like to try to I'm just gonna master all this. I'm gonna make my own record, like Prince, or something, right? But I love bass. I love being a bass player. I think bass players have a special mystique.
Absolutely,
this energy.
Absolutely,
but I love being part of an ensemble. I don't want to be a solo artist. I don't want to be someone that is just. I want to be part of the band.
Absolutely,
part of the group, part of the ship, part of the crew.
Love that, bro.
Love
that, man. Well, dude, I I'm so honored and happy, bro, that we were able to be graced by your presence coming through the ranch and being able to aid in you finding your true self and transcending on into your future. You know, you've done so much in your past as far as so many accolades, so many different places you've been, and so many great memories. And I know there's just going to be so much more for you, so much more meaningful memories with you, yourself, your wife, your kid, right? So man, I really appreciate you coming by and stepping in with me, my big boy, my dog. Hey, now before we go, is there something, could you give our listener that may be struggling with addiction, or what would you tell them?
I would tell them to you're not broken, you know. You might be broken down.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth looking at, you know, what is it that I'm trying to disassociate with?
Yep.
Right? What is it that I'm trying to, it's called depression for a reason. Like, I'm depressed from these feelings.
Yep.
You know, I think ultimately remembering that addiction is a feelings disease.
Absolutely.
And it's not being afraid to reach out for help.
Absolutely.
You know,
I love that.
Yeah, that with help and hope in the heavens.
Yep.
Yeah.
The higher power, tap in.
You know, that there are people that want to help out. There are people that are willing to, and it's just remembering that everyone needs to be reminded of their worth. You
Absolutely.
know, it's so easy to feel bottomed out, right?
Yep.
Like, we hit rock bottom, like we're bottomed out. Everyone else is thriving.
Yep.
Right. You know, which isn't true. You said, like, life is not a spectator sport. Like, people are living it. People are getting hit every day. Right. You know,
Love that.
But it's, we lose control of that when we're in our addiction.
Absolutely.
And you know what? There's people that understand. There's some that don't. You know what? And there's still, they need to learn that.
Yep. They will.
Yeah, they will. But ultimately, reach out. There's someone, you know, whoever it is. You know, I think that people, if they're more willing to do that and not give up on themselves.
Love that.
Because, dude, there's so much value. I've met the raddest people, dude. I can't even tell you that my whole paradigm of who's an addict, right? Like, I'm proud to be part of this brotherhood,
Absolutely.
right? And the sisterhood of the people that I've met and the fight that they have in them.
Absolutely.
And the heart, right?
Yep.
You know, and when you say, like, yeah, it's just breaking the mold, you know, of someone. When I've met people where I'm like, yeah, of course my idea has changed because, you know, you are thriving, and the fact that you're an addict or that you have a record, you know what, doesn't hold that back. Absolutely not. You know, and I think it's just there's so much reform that can happen and recovery. Yeah, I have friends in Las Vegas that are doing a similar prison outreach program for recovery.
It, yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Big
dude.
Need, bro.
Yeah,
love that, dog.
Yeah, and I've gotten to zoom in a couple times. You know, like,
yeah. Let me know, bro. I'll for sure tap in, dog. I'd love to sit in on one of those, bro. And see what they got going on, man.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll send you a link
for sure.
But I don't know. I love you, bro. Like,
love you too, dog.
Yeah. And just your infectious energy. When I talk about that athletic attitude.
Absolutely.
Right. And just the fact that, like, I've seen you, you know, motivate so many people, right? There's a reason why you are where you are.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're willing to talk about your experiences. Yeah. It's like, for that to, I just love what you shared about it. Like, it can go farther.
Absolutely.
And your experience, like, do you use that for good?
Absolutely.
Like that?
Bro.
Like,
that's my
dude,
dog. Thank you so
man.
much, man. I love you too. Well, man, you guys heard it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like my man Branden said, if you're struggling out there, if you or someone you know, reach out and ask for help. It doesn't necessarily got to be a therapist. It doesn't even got to be anybody of title. Maybe just somebody that you trust in. Just reach out, let them know that you're struggling, let them know that you're hurting, and then take that first step of your journey. Thank you all for tapping in. Until next time, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let's go, K's No More.